Hello guys, welcome back, Bushcraft family, in his wonderful bunker. For those who are wondering, this is not a real bunker. It may look like it, but it's not a real bunker. I wish I had a real bunker, but yeah, I've got a basement that doesn't look like this. But anyways, guys, first of all, I want to thank everybody for their support on this channel. And if you could, because usually I don't ask this, share this out. These are things that people need to know about how bad stuff is getting. And we'll get to that in just a moment. But like I said, this needs to be shared out as much as possible, because we all hear these stories about other countries, stuff happening to them and what, oh, it won't happen here. But it does. And it will, unfortunately. Now, with this story, I have a couple facts here that is known. Right now, there's a major war going on in our farming, our food, and stuff like that. And it seems like we're getting stacked up against with different regulations and stuff. The government of Netherlands is planning to conduct forced buyouts of over 3,000 Dutch farms, with the intent of closing them down to cut emissions, or nitrogen emissions, in half to meet the country's climate goals. As many as 11,200 farms will have to close, and another 17,600 farms will have to downsize their livestock to cut down on these nitrogen things. And the thing is, one of the things that is a major thing for our plants to grow, for our food and whatnot, is nitrogen. And a lot of natural nitrogen comes from animals like cows and horses and livestock like that. They're wanting to do away with that. Of course, animals fart, and evidently that messes with the ozone and stuff. But they're wanting to do away with this. All nitrogen and all that stuff for the global warming and stuff. But what they don't realize, look at your history. You go back in history and you see these droughts, you see these heat waves, you see these brutal winters, hurricane seasons. There is a lot of this stuff that happens all the time throughout history. And it's just that time in the history where we have to, instead of getting away with what we need to feed ourselves, instead of manufacturing food in a test tube and whatnot, because eventually they're going to find out that making this synthetic food and whatnot is going to have a bad effect on humans. Because we're not meant to eat something that was produced in a test tube. We're meant to eat from the land. We're meant to eat meat and animals. I know there's some vegetarians out there and stuff that, oh, we're not supposed to. There's a couple ways to, I'm not going to go into that. why I know we're supposed to eat meat. Well, I just won't go into that right now. But there are countries that are cutting down on the nitrogen usage, be it their animals, be it fertilizer and stuff. And this is just one story out of many of these. And this is a pretty old story. It came out last month. I've been thinking about doing it, and then I'm starting to watch other countries follow suit in this, cutting down, buying farms or shutting farms down without any reimbursement or anything like that. And then we have I talked to a farmer not too long ago. His name is Randy. He's got over 2,500 acres just of farmland. He produces a lot of food. He produces soybeans, corn, that type of stuff. And his family's been farming for over 40 years. And he remembers back in the 80s when his family barely came out of this farm debt, I guess you would call it, because many farms were lost in the 80s because of the crisis, the farming crisis back then. But it's here again, and it's a verge of losing his farms, and he's already at the point to where he doesn't think that he will have another season in him. And he knows many farmers just like him that has lost their farms this year, that won't be growing next year. So what's that mean? That means, well, everybody says, "Oh, it's just soybeans and corn." Well, there is a lot of animals that eat the soybeans and corn and stuff. We eat corn, we eat soybeans. Unfortunately, it's a fact. But the high cost of inflation and everything, the regulations they're putting on animals, you can't have them in certain areas. Feed, the return for what they get versus what the people they sell to actually sells the stuff for is totally different. Not to mention the weather, but he says he's not so much concerned about the seasons and stuff because it's just the part of life. One year you'll have a very good year, and then the next year it won't be so good. It's just the way it's the way things go. And he says that's why you have to prepare for these bad seasons. So if you have a good season, you just don't go out and blow your money. Woohoo, I made all this money. The next year you're struggling. But like I said, he's on the verge of not making another season. And what's that mean? You start thinking about it. Well, there's food. What happens when these farmers can't make it anymore and don't grow, don't produce meat and stuff, don't produce milk, eggs, and stuff like that? What happens then? You go to the grocery store and there is no food there for you. What happens to you? You're in the predicament to where you have to rely on the government to feed you. And when that happens, you have no power left. They do whatever they want to do to you. They tell you what you can do and what you can't do. You have no rights because you only have rights of what they tell you have. And you say, well, that's never going to happen here. This is the United States of America. This will never happen. We have our freedoms and stuff. Go back 20, 30 years. Do you see a difference in life from back then to now? Tell me some of the freedoms that have been taken away from you, that slowly get taken away in time, that you sit there and remember, oh, I remember back then when we could do this, and we wouldn't get shamed on social media, and we could talk about things, and we wouldn't get told off. And yeah, there's big things that will happen during this. And like I said, it's one of those things that everybody says, oh, it won't happen until it's too late. And I don't want to be the person that says, I told you so, but for me, I would rather none of this stuff would ever happen. We'd have plenty of food in the stores. We wouldn't have shortages. I wouldn't have to do these videos. I could do just fun videos of going camping and fishing and stuff like that, and wouldn't have to explain to people best ways to store food for when there is no food and things like that. It gets scary sometimes. But that's why I push so hard for people to prep, so we don't have to fear that stuff. We just prepare for that stuff to happen, and try to make it through those bad times. And next year, they keep saying, well, 2020 is going to be even worse. And then we make it through 2022, and look what we have to look forward to for 2023. Everywhere, everybody's saying it's going to be the worst recession that's ever happened this next quarter. All these grocery stores, all these department stores, lumber yards, all these places are ready to lay off because they didn't make the money they needed to pay everybody for the next year coming. There's hundreds of thousands of jobs we're on the verge of losing by the end of this year. Like I've already said, Walmart has already put in order for thousands of their workers to be laid off on the 22nd. That's what they have to look forward to at the end of this year, to lose their jobs, have to go out and find more work. And right now, there's a lot of places looking for work, but how long will that be? When you have all these other places closing down, trucking companies going under, there's so many bankruptcies right now of this stuff happening. There's verges strikes going on all the time. Hopefully everybody has stayed listening to this at the end of this here video and whatnot. To hopefully this sinks in. And for those who may not be thinking about storing some food or preparing for some of this stuff, the hardships that are coming, I bet you the people over in Netherlands right now are wishing they would have prepared more, because it's not looking good for them. Not at all. Their stores will be running out of food. There are going to be factories starting up to produce food in genetic engineered ingredients that is going wild right now. If you don't believe me, go look at a loaf of bread. More and more stuff is getting added to that list of things that they can put in your food that was not made by God, that was made by a man in a laboratory. Some may think, well, God made that man, so if God made this engineered food. I don't think it's the same. No. And how long will it take to find out if this bioengineered ingredient is doing more harm than good? But anyways, guys, like always, God bless. If you made it this far, Merry Christmas.